I'm Janice Daniels. Thank you for joining the Non-Neutral Zone. This is the place where we refuse to remain neutral in the face of great social, moral, and political crises. This evening, we're going to join three important groups. That's the Southeast chapter of the Michigan Conservative Union, the Southeast Michigan Tea Party, and MEDEVCO, the Metropolitan Detroit Freedom Coalition, who are hosting an evening with Trevor Louden. Trevor Louden is an important blogger, author, and producer of a new movie called Enemies Within. And the question that's being asked in this movie is, can your congressman pass an FBI security check? Let's take a look at what they're doing. Now, of course, we're not going to show you the movie in this segment. Our program is too short for that. But what we are going to do is ask you to take a look at Trevor Louden's website and consider purchasing this important movie. Thank you. There's going to be a question and answer session next. Let's see how they're doing.
Thank you very much, Nick. And look, if people need to go, I understand, but please get some DVDs off Victoria. I've got some of my books there I can sign as well, but I'm happy to take questions. You're quick off the mark, sir, so we'll go for you. Have I got a copy of this in Trump's hands? We've got it. Every member of his transition team has been given this. Ben Carson's got it. Trump people, I believe Trump has, yes, but I can't 100% guarantee it. But he has said a couple of things that lead me to believe he has watched the movie, and I know a whole bunch of people around him have. I know that every member of the Tennessee legislature has been sent a copy. A whole bunch of congressmen have it. It was actually a news item last night that several congressmen had been concerned about Keith Ellison becoming head of the DNC because they had seen the movie. So it's getting out there. Yes, ma'am.
I'd just like to tell you people something about the Muslims. I was at a party when my oldest were 3 and 4, and it was a woman's gathering, and a woman out of nowhere, where I was sitting next to, turned to me, and she said, "I'm married to a Muslim, and they want to kill all Americans." My oldest are now 49 and 48.
Yeah, look, this has been going on for 60 years, and they have this agenda, you know, and it's not every Muslim, but as Ben Carson said, you know, how do you know which are which? You know, if you've got a bowl of candies on your bench and 2 of them are poisoned, but you don't know which ones, are you going to eat any candy? You know, they have been infiltrating your country since the 60s. And they have bad intent. Janice?
We all know that the media is one of the major reasons why this stuff gets pushed under the rug. Can you name some of the major media people that we should focus on as involved in this Muslim Brotherhood? Look,
I just wish I could name some off the top of my head, but look, it's more the whole channels, and even Fox News is pretty soft on them. You know, Fox News is going to the left now that Roger Ailes is no longer there. And I wish I could name specific ones, Janice, but I can't immediately think of any. But it's It's general across the board in all the mainstream media and most of the local media as well. You know, Muslims always get the benefit of the doubt, you know. And I will just say one little thing there. They say being anti-Islam is a racist thing or an anti-religious thing. When I came to this country, I had to declare that I'd never been involved in any communist or fascist organisation that sought to overthrow the US Constitution. If you believe in Sharia law, as most Muslims do, you believe in overthrowing the US Constitution. Therefore, you should not be allowed here. Because, look, Islam is a political system. It has a religious veneer, but ultimately what we are worried about is the political aspect of Islam, the tyranny that comes with Islam. And that's what we should focus on. Is Sharia law, which is Islamic law, is opposed to the US Constitution. So why would anybody who believes in Sharia law be allowed in this country? Yes, Ron.
What about approaching people in academia? Because academia is the main poisoner of the future generations of this country. If education is not changed, even if we do obtain victory right now, we'll end up in this position again because we've got to find a way to stop this poisoning education.
Yeah, look, and I think we should be using this period to try and work for the abolition, or at least the massive downgrading of the Department of Education for a start. And I don't know much about Betsy DeVos. I know she comes from the state. But, you know, I think she's one of those business Republicans who can be easily sucked into the idea that, you know, these programs can be good for business and whatever. So we have got to really pressure her to make sure she does the right thing. And as Ron says, we can win everything else, but if we don't win education, we're still done. It's just a matter of time. The whole younger generation's been turned into mindless zombies, effectively, and progressive. So we got to end tenure. We've got to defund the universities. And one thing I would love to see, wouldn't it be fantastic if 60% of American kids went into trade training rather than going to college? Wouldn't that be fantastic, you know? Where they actually have to do things and live in the real world and get real jobs and start real businesses rather than get indoctrinated with huge student loans. What's better for them? What's better for the country?
By the way, I think this whole thing is founded on Antichrist. We're living in the last days, and reading the book of Revelation, it doesn't say the other side will win.
No, well, we know that we're going to win, but how much suffering do we allow to happen between now and then, you know? Yeah, well, maybe. Look, I don't know when this is going to happen, but I do know that we have brains and we have hands and we have a responsibility to fight for freedom as long as we can. The truth, yes, sir. Absolutely. Phil, yeah. Yeah.
This fellow is a four-stage process: moralization, destabilization, recognition, crisis, and normalization, which was the final speech.
Yeah.
We agree we're in destabilization. So how do we prevent the country from getting more destabilized?
Yeah.
Trump is he's the president, but they can still destabilize our system. In fact, it might even advance the destabilization agenda more because it's going to rage the left even more with the Trump arrangement.
Yeah. Well, Phil is saying, according to the KGB, and revolution is a very scientific thing. You have a destabilization. What was the next?
It was
Demoralization, destabilization, crisis, and normalization. Meaning, first, they demoralize the country. Has this country been demoralized in the last few years? Then they destabilise the country by creating riots and strikes and chaos. Have you seen any of that happening? No. And then you push the country into crisis, and then you have normalisation, which means the communists take over and things settle down under communist rule. Right now, we've been demoralised for the last 8 years under Obama, and intimidated, demoralised, confused, lied to, disappointed. Right now, the left is gearing up big time to bring the Dakota Access Pipeline people, the Black Lives Matter people, the Occupy people out onto the streets next year to create violence and havoc. They are going to try and destabilise and wreck what they can of this country and destroy Trump's chances of things. That is why we have to be ready to do more work than ever before. We have to expose these communists, these disruptors, and we have to support the president and support law enforcement and support all efforts to keep this country on an even keel so the president has a chance to get the economy going again, to free up things and get the country back on the right track. The left are absolutely livid that you scumbags took their election off them. They are totally gutted. And they're going to fight back. They cheated and they still lost. Exactly. And that does not make them happy. The gentleman over the back, then I'll go to Dick here.
Just point out in reference to your most recent remark, in 1979, 1980, when Reagan won, they did the exact same thing with mass demonstrations and riots.
Yeah.
We can't beat them back. We have to go at it.
Yeah.
I wanted to ask you about two things. One is, so very often when there's a very obvious terror, a man screaming, Allah Akbar, or whatever it is he's doing it, we have our national leaders speak to the press, and they don't talk about the terrorist attack, they talk about we shouldn't be anti-Muslim. So I'd like you to comment on that. And I'd also like to ask you if you've had time in all of this to investigate or pursue these same investigations along the environmental movement in America.
Yeah. Well, so just say the environmental movement, I call it the watermelon movement. It's red, it's green on the outside and it's red in the middle. All of the environmental movements are dominated by Marxists, and their aim is to shut down American capitalism. The guy in the movie you saw, Mike Waller, right? He was a young kid in New Hampshire, about 17 or 18, and he used to go sport fishing in the sea for bass and that. And the environmental movement, the Clamshell Alliance, told him that the nuclear power plants in New Hampshire were going to make the water too warm and drive the fish out off the coast. So he was sucked into training to go and sabotage and vandalise environmental, nuclear power plants. This is the guy in the movie. He was at a meeting one day at the Clamshell Alliance, and he raised a point, and one of the top leaders said to him, Mike, don't you understand? We don't give a crap about the environment. We just want to bring down American capitalism. The environmental movement is completely controlled by the radical left, and it's all about destroying your economy. Now, the Muslim thing, see, we look at the terrorists, right? And we get all upset about the terrorists, as we should, and the government covers for them every time, because what is more dangerous than the terrorists is the political aspect of Islam. And what happens, the more terrorist outrages you have, the more the governments don't want to get in a fight with world Islam, so they open the doors to more Islamic immigration to prove how tolerant they are. So the terrorists, the more they bomb, the more the doors come open. So, and that is the real danger. Terrorists kill a few people, and I'm not excusing them or minimising them, but the real danger is what has happened in Dearborn. The real danger is what is happening in communities all over your country. They are here to invade, to occupy, and eventually become the dominant force. So we have to treat Islam as a whole. We have to treat the Islamic movement as partially violent but completely dangerous. It is the guy in the mosque down the road who is calling for tolerance for Islam and sending his people into your schools and into your police departments is just as dangerous to you as the guy who sets off a bomb in a shopping mall. The whole religion is aimed at bringing your country down. And if we focus just on the terrorists, we're missing the point. This is why they're so stupid, this countering violent extremism thing. Yes, the violent extremisms are bad, but they're not the main danger. You think back to Northern Ireland. You know, you had the IRA letting off bombs, blowing people up. They were part of the Sinn Féin movement. 90% of it was legal, a legal political movement, which is now in power in Ireland. The terrorists have gone, but now the communist Sinn Féin is running things. Well, when the Muslims have conquered you, they will stop the terrorism, because they will just be able to torture you and shoot you whenever they want without that. So, yeah, you're right, sir. The terrorism's a problem, but that's not the main problem, and that shouldn't be our main focus. Yes, Dick.
Say a few words about the church, the infiltration of the churches in America.
Yeah, well, my friend Herb Romerstein, who was America's expert on communists, he was the youngest member of the Communist Party in this country at 17 years old, until he saw the light, became a real expert. He said, the people that were most sucked into the communist fronts, the single group that was most easily sucked into communist front groups, were Protestant clergymen. They were full of them, absolutely. And in those days, the Catholic Church was very anti-communist and very much opposed to that agenda. Unfortunately, over the last few years, the Catholic Church and your bishop in Detroit, what's Gumbleton, was a huge example of that, a total Marxist. They have infiltrated the church at every level. Look, if you want to bring America down, you know, what is the backbone of America? It is faith. It's the churches. So if you want to bring America down, what are you going to penetrate first? You put your Communist Party members into your seminaries, you make them become teachers, and you turn out whole generations of clergymen who believe in liberation theology and social justice and all of this communist stuff. That's how they took over Latin America. They got inside the Catholic Church because they couldn't beat the Catholic Church, so they joined it. And now you've got a situation where you've got a Pope who goes along with a whole bunch of this agenda. So absolutely, the churches are completely penetrated, and the best churches are the house churches, the evangelical churches, but even those are now starting to swallow this doctrine. So we got to turn the culture around real quick, folks. We don't have a lot of time. And we got to set the left back and defund the left and set them back 50 years, because otherwise it's only a matter of time before they rule us permanently. Yes, Nick?
Ask Dick, to show you what's going on, ask Dick how many Syrians have been brought into Troy.
How many Syrians have we brought into Troy, Dick?
Well, we're focusing on a 40% increase in Middle Eastern refugees into Michigan this year from last year. And that's only because we had an Freedom of Information request to get the plans from the Catholic Church in Clinton Township and Samaritan, the Lutheran Church here in Troy. It's extremely secret, and the numbers are overwhelming. So you have an alliance of the churches,
Yeah.
the leftist churches of CARE, the Muslim Brotherhood. And one of the things that I've learned, if you go to Lansing and you talk to a conservative representative, door closed, they will tell you that the Catholic Church, the Michigan Catholic Conference, and CARE together work together to keep the refugees coming in here, and those are the two groups that defeated American law for American courts. The Catholic Church in Michigan is extremely powerful, and CARE is extremely powerful. So this movie My suggestion is if you're in a church and you cannot get this movie shown at your church, invite 20 people to your house and show the movie. Then invite 20 more people.
Yeah.
People who go to church need to understand that directly or indirectly, they're promoting this problem because they're not able to confront the bishop, and it's a catastrophe in Michigan.
Look at us, and you project it 15 years forward. How when all these people are in here, there's Dearbornistans all over the place, and the Democratic base has expanded 20 to 30%. Where is that going to leave you folks? Next for Huma Aberdeen, I look at an orange jumpsuit would be wonderful. You know, she'd look great in it. Look, I think one of the mistakes Donald Trump has made so far is when he said he would not prosecute Hillary Clinton. Now that's not his call for a start. That's the Justice Department's call. He should have just said, leave it to the Justice Department, because I want to see her prosecuted and her circle more than anything. Not because I'm vengeful, because Americans have to understand that no one is above the law. And that would set a great precedent. It would show that Donald Trump is serious about transforming this country and bringing integrity back to government. You know, that, and I understand that investigations are still ongoing into the Clinton Foundation. I think that's where it's going to go. I think Hillary Clinton, I think Huma Aberdeen will end up in jail. She certainly deserves to be there. But it really has to happen, because that Clinton family has to be shut down. Because I don't want Chelsea Clinton running in 20 years' time, thanks. You know, and it's got to send a message to every corrupt person in the government that no one is above it. That will put the fear of God into a whole lot of people who are either already corrupt or thinking about getting that way. And we have to do that to get the cleansing process going, in my opinion. So maybe one more question, and I know that, you know, it's getting late, but anyone else want to say something? Okay. Well, yeah, it's...
I heard something about Chelsea's husband's uncle is George Soros. Have you heard anything like that?
No.
Related?
I don't think it's quite that direct. No, Chelsea's husband's father was a corrupt congressman who dealt with Soros and was in jail for several years, out of Iowa, I think it was. I'm not quite... Philadelphia, was it? I'm not quite sure. I've just forgotten his name right now. But look, the stink of corruption. I think Hillary Clinton, if you put her on a lie detector, she would pass it. She'd be fine. Because to her, whatever she says is true. There's no conflict there, because a lie detector picks up internal conflict. When you say something you know is untrue, that sets up a conflict, which the machine picks up. Hillary Clinton wouldn't have a conflict. She is so psychologically damaged, to her anything she says is true. And I think Barack Obama would be pretty much the same. But so I just want to say, look, if you thought the movie was valuable, please buy a copy or 2 or 5 or whatever. Not because it helps keep us going, which it does, and it helps fund the next movie, which it will, but because I think the more people who see this, we designed this movie for the grassroots, to give you more understanding of the threat and more certainty in your speech when you're speaking to people. But, you know, if you show this, you know, to your... Sorry? Yeah, you can use credit card or cash or check, as long as you're not a registered Democrat, right? Okay, you have to show us your Republican Party card before you can give us a check. No, not seriously, but look, I just want to say it's great to be here. It's great to see all the familiar faces and all the friends. And the only reason Judd and Victoria and Logan and I do what we do is because people like you are doing what you're doing. I'm so proud of what Michigan did in this election, but it wasn't just that election that did it. I've been proud of you for a long time, guys, because I've always had a great reception here, and the patriotic depth here is pretty phenomenal. So you should be proud of yourselves, and thank you for inviting me to be here, and thanks for your support, and God bless your endeavours. Thank you.
Okay, have a safe trip home.
Thank you so much for joining us. Don't forget to watch the next episode of Non-Neutral Zone. This is Janice Daniels signing off. Have a good evening.